So here we go again. We have another major player saying that Tesla is grossly undervalued.
Yes, right now, legendary investor Ron Barron. Of course, the chairman and CEO of Barron Capital. Ron's longstanding support for Tesla is widely known. Remember, he bought shares of Tesla back at about $40 a share back in 2016 when he couldn't persuade any other managers to invest. Today, it is the top holding in the Barron Partners Retail Fund. It makes up more than 45% of the fund's weight. Ron, it's good to have you with us, and it's good to see you at a time that it seems like a pretty critical one for the markets.
This time we have Ron Barron, a guy who manages about $30 billion and is personally worth about $3 billion. So pretty much like a Cathy Wood on crack.
Tesla is such a huge part of your funds at this point, and that stock has had a pretty phenomenal year.
In those two stocks, in those two funds, it's a very important part. It represents, as you said, 35 or 40% of each of those funds. And that stock is up 10 times in the past 2 years or 3 years. We invested in it between 2014 and 2016. We invested $300 million, $320 million for 1.6 million shares. At that time, it's now 8 million shares, 5-for-1 split, so it's $40 a share, as you said. And the stock's now 400 or 420. And when we invested, and I was on your program, I was talking about how I believe we would make 20 times our money over 10 or 15 years, where they were. Now I think that the business is going to go from 30 or 35 billion in sales, grow 50% a year. I think they're going to be doing 5 or 6 or 7 or $800 million in sales in 10 years on just the cars. And the batteries is another unbelievable business, which I'm very excited about. And I think that with that kind of valuation, with that kind of results, you're going to see a 5 times appreciation. I was thinking 3 to 5 times. We made 10 times so far, 3 to 5 times to come in the next 10 years. Two more doubles, maybe 3 more doubles in 10 years.
So Ron Barron is saying that not only Tesla will go up further, it will go all the way up to $2 trillion. And his money is exactly where his mouth is. This guy just literally 10x'd his money within a span of 5 years. That's not something you see every freaking day. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a guy with a lot of money who pretty much went all in on Tesla and now 10x his money. But here's the kicker. Hear what he has to say about what's coming next.
Well, it's certainly gotten bigger instead of here, but you mentioned the volatility. Do you think the stock has passed the days of volatility because it's gotten on steadier ground, or do you worry that some of the Robinhood investors and others who have been so attracted to what Tesla has to offer, if there's any sort of shakeout in the market, does that impact them, and would volatility come back?
A typical MSM question. Robinhood investors, they're going to flee from the ship like mice once the first crack happens. Here's the thing, lady. The crack isn't about to happen. The thing is way past the crack point. As he just mentioned, they already have 50,000 employees. It's ramped up. They're pretty much primed. They're in the prime position ever. It's not going to crack. Tesla is pretty much like me. I'm a fat ass. So every time I lose a little bit of weight, I gain everything back and some. Tesla is the same way. They lose a little bit of the share price, but they gain everything back and some. But wait, I want you to hear his answer to her question because I actually interrupted Ron and I'm sorry. What does he think about the volatility of the share price? And I want you to listen to what he's saying here.
Well, what we worry about are not stock prices. When we're an investor in a business, we worry about the business. And the short term, I can't have any clue about what's going to happen. I do think that it's now a $400 billion market cap. It was $40 billion when we started. I've said for a long time, I thought it was going to be 1 to 2 trillion. With what developments have taken place recently, I think 2 trillion is the right number. So I think it's 5 times from here. Made 10 times in the past 2 or 3 years, but for 4 years before that, the stock didn't change, and the business grew tenfold. So the business went from 2 billion 8 to 30 billion 10 times. That's what the expectation is. So we're very excited about that. I want to get to Battery Day about what happened there and why it's so interesting.
Before we get to Battery Day, let me explain something. What he's saying here is the same thing every smart long-term investor is saying. The same ideology Warren Buffett has applied to become a multi-billionaire. Here's the thing. No person on this God-given earth can literally predict consistently share price volatility in the short and medium terms. It's impossible. The only way to make smart, logical, good predictions is going long-term. It's the same example Warren Buffett always uses. Imagine I have a farm and my neighbor has a farm. So my neighbor is psychotic. So every morning he comes out to the porch and yells obscenities, but also he shouts out a price at which he's willing to buy my farm. And at this point, Warren Buffett always pauses and asks you, what is the bearing of him shouting out different prices every morning has on the value of my land and my farm? Nothing. Of course, if he gives me a phenomenal price, I probably am going to sell. But his shouting prices is meaningless to me because I know what's the value of my farm. Ron knows what's the value of his farm, which is Tesla. And let me tell you why I think Ron is much closer to the truth than Gordon Johnson and all these bears. Here's the thing. I don't know if the company is ever going to hit $2 trillion, but I am confident that it might hit $1 trillion. But here's one thing I do know. This is a company who beat projections on their profits in the last 10 quarters 8 times out of 10. Meaning that the entire market, the entire analyst world were working against them for 2 freaking years. They still managed to beat them at their own game, given all the resistance, no PR money, no advertising budget, nothing. Just sheer execution. Here's some other thoughts. Tesla has been thriving through this crisis, while every single car manufacturer during COVID has taken major hits all the way to possibly going bankrupt. Tesla has been growing more than ever. Record deliveries. Not to mention the fact that their gross profit is one of the best in the business. Not to mention that they have the best employees. Not to mention that they're completely revolutionized the way we're thinking about energy and the global energy market. There's a lot of stuff going on in Tesla that you need to be paying attention to. Basically, if you take a look at my previous video, which I did just a couple days ago, I told you that this company, based on today's numbers and what we know about the company today without the energy stuff, without the battery stuff, is worth about $400 billion. So right now, the company isn't overvalued. However, I also told you in this video that if the company goes hard into batteries, global energy, all that other stuff people are thinking about, it's definitely a $1 trillion company. And maybe even more. If Ron is right, and I think he's closer to the truth than Gordon Johnson for sure, this may be the next big company to invest in. And here's what he's saying to you guys. There's still ample opportunity to invest in Tesla. What he's saying here, we still have a lot of upside, at least 2 or 3 more doubles, meaning that it's not too late. Now, I'm not advocating that you invest in it. I personally don't invest in it because I'm sacrificing for you guys. If I ever invest in Tesla, that means I lose my privilege to be objective about it. So I'd rather give up the money so I'm able to talk about it objectively. But you guys don't have to. I mean, you should definitely think about investing in this company if you have 5 to 10 years to send the money and wait. I'm not suggesting you speculate because this is the worst advice I can give you. And here's a little soundbite that you probably have missed. At the end of this clip, he actually said something very important. He just kind of threw it out there. Not to mention the battery stuff. Here's the thing. Tesla has been going hard on the suppliers. They're not only going in-house on battery design and production, they're creating a network of partnerships. They're literally creating, as we speak, the best network for provision of raw materials for batteries in the next 5 to 10 years. So within 5 years, not only Tesla is going to be providing batteries for everybody else, Tesla is going to have a direct pipeline to the raw materials required to make these batteries. So we are looking probably at the next monopoly in the global energy market. So screw cars. Who's going to think about cars at that point? And unless you're thinking that Tesla is lying about these stories, which they may, who knows, you should definitely listen to what Ron has to say. He makes a very compelling case to still invest in Tesla today, given the current price. Once again, a huge shout out for our channel members, our Patreons, and everybody who's been buying our merch. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys make it possible for me to make these videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video.